Our top focus, the road connectivity of the flood-affected Kashmir Valley has been restored from the Leh region due to concerted efforts of the Indian Army engineers and the Border Road Organization. Now, the connectivity will be a major boost for the ongoing relief operations being undertaken by the Army in the Kashmir Valley. The Army is now mobilizing the existing stocks in Leh to provide essential supplies to the beleaguered Kashmir Valley. The urgent requirement of food, water and medicines will be moved from the Army holdings in Ladakh, while additional stocks are being inducted via Manali to provide relief to the people in the Kashmir Valley. Army engineers have cleared 14 landslides in the Jammu area. Army engineers are working on the bridges which have been destroyed in the surging water. Inclement weather is posing a massive challenge as the Army battles to reopen all bridges in the next 2 to 3 days. The Army has identified 8 such bridges to provide connectivity to the civilians living in the remote areas of the state. Well, some good news coming out after a week of news on the deluge. The road connectivity of the flood-affected Kashmir Valley has been restored from the Leh region due to concerted efforts of the Indian Army engineers and the Border Road Organization. And the Valley of Kashmir continues to reel under surging flood waters. The Tavi River in Jammu is overflowing, breaching several bridges. The Indian Air Force is now working to repair these bridges to enable connectivity. Like Shiv pointed out, we could hear some good news on that in a while from now. The mission Sahayata, meanwhile, is on for the 8th day in a row. Army's efforts have been intensified over the last 2 days, with additional rescue and relief resources getting inducted from Chandigarh, Delhi, Jodhpur, Chennai. Over 50 aircrafts of Air Force and civil aviation were flown in with relief material. ISRO meanwhile has released imagery for Kashmir floods as seen from space. Heavy rains coupled with rise in the water levels of Jhelum River had led to flooding in the districts of Anantnag, Pulwama, Kulgaon and Rajouri.
We are in an Army aviation helicopter which is going to take a round of the flood affected areas in the Jammu region. Along with us present here in the helicopter is the General Officer Commanding of the Tiger Division of the Indian Army, General Dushyant Singh. General Dushyant, could you just give us an overview? Could you just give us an overview of what the operations till now have been?
Okay, Operation Meghrahat, launched by the Rising Star Corps of Western Command under the stewardship of Tiger Division, started on the 4th of September when the situation of the flood started becoming grim. The Tavi, both Badi and Niki Tavi, were overflowing way beyond their danger mark. So was the Chenab River. Two major areas which were affected by this were the Paragwal sector caused by the Chenab River and the Mandal Makwal area caused by the Tavi River which flows through Jammu. The Tavi River in its wake damaged 2 major bridges. One you are seeing right in front of you, in which the Rising Star Corps Engineer regiments are building a bridge to fly heavy vehicles into the Makwal area. Currently Makwal area can only be reached by light vehicles. Once this is through, we will be able to supply to the entire civil population, which is around 15,000 people here. The Army established 3 camps in this region in which we gave support, civic action, medical support and medicines to How difficult was it, sir, in the initial days when the floods came? How difficult was it to respond quickly to save such a large number of people? Well, I can tell you in one single line that we were marooned, and in this marooned condition we launched 22 columns at the peak of the flood situation. Almost 10 columns in Paragwal, 7 columns in the pocket sector, that is Makwal Mandal, and 4 columns rest other places in Araspura sector.
As of now, General Dushyant, what is the situation, particularly in Poonch, which we believe is cut off from Jammu?
As of now, the upper reaches are still in a bad situation. The Rising Star Corps and the Tiger Division are providing all the help required for the people in the upper reaches. of 16 Corps and 15 Corps.
Now, as you can see, the helicopter right now is hovering over a place where a makeshift bridge is being made. The army engineer columns are hard at work. They are trying to provide connectivity to all those areas which remain cut off because of this heavy flood which came and hit this region. As General Dushyant, the GOC of Tiger Division, said, all efforts are being made by the army, the division and the corps, and as well as the Western Command in order to make the situation come in hand. With camera person Dilip Sahu, Manaman Singh China in Jammu for Headlines Today.
And in news from Srinagar, water levels in several areas have begun to recede, but lakhs of people are still stranded, many on rooftops, and thousands of them are still standing on flyovers. An estimated 4 lakh people are believed to be trapped in floods in Srinagar and South Kashmir, which has claimed nearly 200 lives in the state already. IAF choppers and transport aircraft are undertaking non-stop sorties to carry men and relief material to submerged parts. After 5 days of incessant rains, there's finally some respite. The Met Department has predicted clear skies for the next 3 to 4 days. Well, that in fact should help rescue operations. Shuja ul Haq with this latest report from Srinagar.
Around 2 days after the deadly floods have struck Kashmir Valley and particularly Srinagar city, the entire region is still groping to brace for the impact. We are right now in the heart of Srinagar city, Lal Chowk, and most of the establishment around here are under the water. Now look at this place. This is one of the tallest flyovers of Srinagar city, and there are people stranded on this flyover just waiting desperately for some help. If you can see in these visuals, on the right side is the Civil Secretariat where the Chief Minister's office is situated. Then there is the High Court of Srinagar city where a lot of people are still stranded. Look at these visuals. If you can see, even the vehicles of top-ranking High Court judges are stranded right there. On the left side are buildings of high importance, police control room and other administrative units. This is the condition in the heart of Srinagar. Look at them. Look at these desperate people waiting for some sort of help, some rescue to come around here. Here we've got the Indian Air Force right now here. Look at this chopper. It has come here to rescue people. Look at this MiG-17 chopper that has just arrived here, probably to see the situation and rescue these people from this region. There are thousands of people still stranded in the adjoining buildings. On the left side, the NDRF teams have brought in some people in their boats. Look at them. They're rowing their boats, motorboats, from one of the highly populated civilian areas of Srinagar city. A desperate situation here. Almost all the aspects of human life right now in front of you in these visuals. There are rescue teams, there are people desperate on this flyover, waiting, watching how anyone can come and rescue their near and dear ones, and also somehow bring some relief to them who are stranded around in these regions. Very, very difficult situations. Even after 2 days, the water though has receded a little bit, but as of now, the sufferings of the people in Srinagar continue to loom large. With cameraman Roof, Shuja ul Haq in Srinagar for Headlines Today.
And IAF rescue helicopters have been reaching out to those stranded in far-flung areas. The IAF has deployed 61 aircraft for rescue and relief in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Helicopters airdropping relief material as well. People getting onto the roof of multi-storied buildings. Here's a report.
Jammu and Kashmir facing the fury of floods, the worst the state has seen in over 6 years. Capital Srinagar bearing the brunt of an overflowing Jhelum river. Let's take you through the topography of the entire city to understand what parts are flooded and what aren't. This is the airport located on the outskirts. Thankfully, because it's located at a higher altitude, the airport has still not been flooded, and which is why the Air Force is being able to airlift supplies inside flood-affected areas. If we move a little inside the city towards low-lying areas, the river Jhelum crisscrosses the entire length and breadth of the city. As you can see, worst affected in these areas, are Shivpura and Rajbagh. The reason why these places have completely been inundated is because the river literally surrounds them in a loop from all sides. Now, when the river has flooded, all these surrounding areas have been completely inundated. People who are being rescued from these two locations are being taken to Comrade in right here. We've also been told that the Presentation Convent, there's a school that's located right here. Almost 150 students are currently trapped inside this school building. So army personnel, if they're watching this broadcast, I've requested to please contact school authorities here. They've been trying to send an SOS and they've been trapped here for the last 3 days without any basic supplies. Several people being affected, thousands literally, according to the government figures, 10,000 people affected by these floods. There are also other parts, low-lying parts of the city that have been affected, including the area surrounding the Dal Lake. Now, Lal Bazar, Nishad, Brain, Karanpura, all these places that are around Dal Lake have been inundated because the Dal Lake has also been swelling because of the floods. There are also colonies in Srinagar where rescue teams still haven't been able to reach, which is why there's still no clarity on how those people are faring. There's still no clarity on how many people have actually lost their lives. Figures are still trickling in. We'll keep updating as and when we get more information.
And you can reach out to Jammu and Kashmir flood victims. If you want to donate money, you can draw checks in favor of Care Today account, J&K Flood Relief Fund, and send it to Care Today Fund, India Today Mediaplex, FC8, Sector 16A, Film City, Noida, 201301. For more details, please write to balaji.singh@intoday.com.